rates rising with both the ECB, Bank of Canada and Australia's RBA all raising rates during the week, but also you had a lot of Fed heads reiterating that rates are going to be higher for longer as they try and battle inflation, which is coming out this week. We will have the inflation numbers Tuesday night, Australian time, CPI, and then on Wednesday night you got the PPI, which is also important, but this is the big one, the CPI. So the market's going to probably tread water for a while until that. But before we go and have a look at currencies, we've also got, so you've got rates rising, you've got commodities pretty much in a downtrend now. Oil's certainly coming off, so that's going to help the inflation picture. Iron ore's come off, and even copper, although it's trying to have a little mini bounce here. We can see here coke and coal, and Australia's premium hard coal still high relatively, but also treading water a bit. And as we can see, the index, commodity index, is ticking up. This is pretty much the all-time high here that it hit last year or earlier in the year, thanks to the Russian invasion, but still quite elevated. So that's going to also have an impact on inflation. So with that in mind, stocks got crazy, of course, as stocks can do. Decided to get bid, but I think this is just a bear market rally. A lot of people have said that this is not the low. We will get lower lows, and if you're looking at the disparity between bonds and or short-term interest rates and the stock market, there's a massive gap that one has to move, and it doesn't look like it's going to be the bond market really is. The stock market will have to sort of catch up and come down this direction. So looking ahead with the news on Tuesday night, I think trading the US dollar is going to be quite tricky. As I wrote, we're looking at wanting to have this retracement, and it did do that. It did stop at a reasonably important fib level, and in this noise here, but ideally we would want to see it back down here. From a technical point of view, that's what you'd like to see. Fundamentally, I don't know if we're going to get it, particularly if the inflation number comes higher than expected. If it comes lower than expected, then we might be looking at this. And then a turn and run into the FOMC meeting, which is the following week. But finishing in the middle of the day doesn't give us much of an idea. But with the inflation numbers, I think it might be better just to wait for that, because you don't know what it's going to do. We know that if inflation is higher, then you'd expect interest rates to be higher and the US dollar to run on the back of that. If it comes in lower than expected, then I would look for a sell-off in the US dollar. So it might be tricky trading the US dollar until then. Maybe just if you're going to trade it, get in and out before then, or wait until the numbers out and then have a look at it. Euro dollar doing the same pattern again. This pattern of sideways action before having another leg down, and we're looking at 95 being the target on this move, and we can see that that trend is clearly in place, and we'll be looking at again around after the inflation news, be looking for a fall in euro and a new leg lower. Aussie dollar does have a bit of a double bottom happening there, but there's also bit of a resistance across here, which it's failed to get through. And it's again, it's a little tricky with the commodity picture. I'd prefer to be a seller of it, and yeah, I have no reason to be buying Aussie at the moment. But that double bottom makes me a bit nervous to try and sell it, and the fact that it couldn't get through this resistance level makes it a little interesting as to where it's going to go from here. But from a fundamental point of view, I'd prefer to be a seller of the Aussie. Maybe look at it against some of the other crosses. Cable, would have preferred to get it up here somewhere, but it hasn't managed to do that. Might do that now during this week with a potential week of US dollar, but yeah, I don't really want to be a buyer of it, but I'm not going to sell it when it's this far away from the moving averages. And similarly with the yen, too far away from the moving averages. Only really one day of selling, and that was more US dollar than buying yen. So again, it's too hot to try and trade out here. I need to wait for a bit more of a retracement, and that's what we'll be looking for this week. Thanks guys, we'll see you tomorrow.